At this time, we hope every parent has confirmed that their candidate has been registered.
Yes.
So after this, now we are going to have a brief. We are beginning with the UC examinations, which is the senior 4 examination.
Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Janefer, for that brief about the theme you've heard. It all starts with us. It's our responsibility. It's a joint responsibility. Some people think when it comes to examination, it's only the student and the school that are concerned. No, it is a joint responsibility, and that is what we are going to be talking about today, so that you know your part, your role in this, to avoid being on the wrong side of the board. But before we go there, someone is asking themselves, what is UNEB? They are hearing it maybe for the first time, or they haven't understood really. Why is UNEB there? What's its relevancy and mandate in Uganda and the region as well? Well, I'm going to hear from Mrs. Rose Nabukenya about the mandate of UNEB and its relevancy in the region.
Thank you very much, Daphne.
Yes.
Dear viewers, Uganda National Examinations Board, first of all, is a body corporate. It was put in place by an act of parliament. That was way back in 1983. This act has been revived. It was revived in 2021. And it gives UNEB responsibilities that, first of all, requires it to register candidates of primary, secondary. Also, after registering them, the board is supposed to prepare national examinations at all those levels, the primary and the secondary. It also, after preparing them, is supposed to supervise them and mark them. It also prepares other examinations if asked or as mandated by this act that puts it in place. Yes, Daphne. And after that, the board is supposed to issue certificates to eligible candidates. Those who sit and they are meant to get the certificates, the board prepares them. The board also carries out research in different aspects that are related to examinations. Yes, so we do research within, and now we have even consultant services regarding issues regarding examinations or academics generally. So, and also we offer or we help other examination bodies to conduct examinations, especially in international bodies. So that is basically the role of the board. But the core mandate is examinations, as I've told you, at primary and secondary levels.
Thank you so much. I believe we have all understood the mandate of UNEB. And now getting into the roadmap, because we all know that the students are starting. We have senior 4 kicking off, and then we have the primary, and later the advanced education also kicking off with their examinations. That is why UNEB has actually come up with a roadmap on how to go through this. What are they going to do? What are they put in place to ensure a smooth running of these examinations? And we have heard and understood that this time's theme is integrity and security in the management of examination. Well, health and safety of learners is a joint responsibility. So that means we have to secure our students and also endure that they are in good health. So taking us through the roadmap, Mrs. Kalule, we have security briefing coming as number 1. What is all this? Maybe you can take us through.
Well, unfortunately, I can't really give you the details about the security briefing, but like I said, that's one of the critical things about examinations is the security of examinations. So we do work with various security agencies who help us to ensure that their examinations are kept safe and they are secure. So we shall have this briefing with the various security agencies that we work with. But then thereafter, we are going to have a press briefing, members of the media, so they get to know what's going to happen, and then that in essence means informing the entire public what's going to happen. And then thereafter, on Friday the 14th of October, we are going to have the official briefing of the candidates. So that is actually the day when the examinations officially start. When we start the briefing of the candidates, we do not have classes anymore. don't expect candidates to be in classes anymore. Ideally, examinations have started. So on Friday, the senior 4 candidates who are going to be the very first ones to do the examinations are going to be briefed by their head teachers, by their teachers, and the briefing basically tells them what are the key issues, what does malpractice entail, what do you need to do when you're going to sit for an examinations. We want to prepare them not to panic. We want to give them moral support. We want to make sure that they are actually reading. We want to reassure them that what they have is enough. UNEB examinations are not so unique. They just that they're national examinations. But senior 4 candidates, for instance, have done examinations before. They've done PLE before. They've been doing exams since senior 1 to senior 4. So we want to reassure them, ensure they do not panic, but most importantly, we want them to understand how can they be caught off guard so they avoid all those kind of things. We also want the parents to be involved in the briefing sessions. That is the joint responsibility. Usually, parents don't usually come for the briefing sessions. However, this time around, we found it necessary, and the ED has urged parents to make sure they are part of the briefing sessions of the learners. So we are encouraging the head teachers, and directors to please make space to enable the parents come and attend the briefing sessions of the candidates on Friday, the 14th of October. And then thereafter, all the various schools we know have been doing various dedications. We know that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We want to ask the Lord to intervene, because unless the Bible says the Lord teaches our children, and when He does, they will have great peace. So as a board, we do recognize that, and we do appreciate the role of the religious leaders. So we are asking the religious leaders through the Interreligious Council of Uganda to ask all the affiliate churches and religious bodies to dedicate this coming weekend from the 14th, 15th and 16th to praying for candidates, as well as the entire process of the examinations. So we expect on Friday that the Muslim fraternity will join us to pray for the candidates. And on Saturday, the Seventh-day Adventists, and then on Sunday, all those who believe in Christ, who pray on Sunday, we do request that they also dedicate the candidates and the UNEB processes to the Lord. So we are asking all the religious affiliations to please join us and dedicate this entire process. We want them to pray for the various things, pray for the health and safety of the learners, the health and safety of the people who are conducting the examinations, pray for wisdom, pray for guidance, pray that our learners will be able to excel accordingly, but most importantly, that there will be no examination malpractice, because malpractice is the destined killer that will destroy these learners. And we want to encourage the learners not to get involved in any form of malpractice, whatever the case may be.
Well, thank you so much. Now, my question goes again when it comes to this briefing. I don't know if you've had any reactions from the parents. Have the parents really come on board to understand that it's really a responsibility for them to be there and be a part, being that it's a new practice? I don't think so many people can jump on board on something that is new to them. You know, what happens with change? People usually take a while to adjust.
Thank you, Daphne. To this, I want to say, as you have also acknowledged, this is something that may sound new. Whereas in our circulars, year in, year out, we encourage the parents to participate. They have been so aloft. But this time, we think they should take interest, because apart from encouraging the children, there are other issues we want them to follow up when they go to the school. Daphne, this year we have compelled schools to put up registers of the children on the notice board, on the school notice boards under the districts. And we have found out that the parents who have gained the interest in this have found out the many omissions that the schools made when they were registering these children. For example, the mismatches in age, the mismatches in names, and the other aspects of biodata. For example, gender. Definitely, you may find that under your child's name, they captured male when actually female. So these issues and many others, the parents are going to find out if they go to the schools. So we want to encourage them as much as possible. When we went to the field to meet the field officers, for example, for UCE, which is beginning soon, we met the area supervisors. And our messages were loud and clear. We told them, encourage these parents to come over so that they can see what their children registered under names. There are some children who also fancy particular things.
Yes.
So if the
They
child
want to
is
change their
Joseph,
name.
they want to register themselves as Joy, because at home they call them Joy or
Or
Jose. When actually this child has already other documents. Nowadays, it is very important to synchronize data. They have passports, they have the NIRA, whatever information with Joseph, and here the child registered as Jose. So if the parent goes to school now, they still have chance to capture this mistake, and we correct it as UNEB. So, and also, of course, there are other aspects of the regulations, because during the briefing meetings, the regulations are emphasized. There are some parents who fall into temptation, or because of ignorance, because the aspect of malpractice can happen because of ignorance.
That is true.
A parent might be asked at this particular time to give a child, for example, a lot of money. Or let me think that 100 is a lot for an ordinary parent.
Yes.
But this child may be asking for this money for reasons beyond the school's preparations or need. They want to buy fake papers. They have to make arrangements to do things that are contravening the regulations of examinations. So if the parent comes to school, they will be told all these things, to be cautious of what they should do to the children, or what they should give to the children, so that they do not at the end of the day suffer, because malpractice is very costly. When we get such cases, examinations or results are cancelled, and we do not desire this.
Of course not.
So parents need to be prepared of what children can do, especially now at this level of secondary. Children are mature. They can make even arrangements when the school is not aware.
Yes.
The parent has to be alert. What can my son or my daughter tempt me into doing? And I participate in malpractice when I did not intend. We need to be there.
Well, before we get so much into malpractice, let's look at registration. Like you were saying that parents are supposed to come and find out if their students have been registered, and even registered with the right particulars. I want us to look into the statistics of schools. How many schools have registered? Did you already know maybe a rough estimate of the numbers of students that are registered that we can start to work with?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the statistics as it lies, we'll start with the secondary, the O level, which is going to begin examinations now. Yes. At least the candidature is 349,449.
49,000. Wow.
449. And this is an increment. It is higher than what we had last year by a good percentage. At least 3% to us is quite high. It has not been like that before for ordinary level. But at least we think this is a big number, which really needs a lot of attention. Janefer is going to give you the number of schools at this level. At the primary level, we have 849 already registered. 849,809 candidates registered for primary. And that one is also very high, close to 10% increment when you compare that of last year. At the secondary level, I think there was 397,000. That one, we have registered some decline in candidature this year. And of course, the research is being made, scientific research, not guesswork. We shall get to know why we have registered that decline at A level.
Could it be because of the economic situation? Because it affected so many students that I know who are not able to go back, and even those that haven't paid full school fees. I don't know.
Daphne, as I've told you,
UNEBS
has gone into research for that, so that we can see exactly what has happened to our population, to our schools, and to our parents possibly.
Well, Mrs. Kalule, can you tell us maybe the number of schools that have registered? We got to hear from the students.
For in all, we have a total of 20,517 centers that have registered at all levels. And out of these, we find that 14,383 I'm not so sure. Let me just say the overall. We have 20,517 centers that have registered at all the levels. We still need to disaggregate and see how many are for PLE, how many are for UCE, and how many are for UACE. But that's a total number. And we have a number of new centers that came on board.
Oh, really?
Because of, we had to expand, like she's told you, we've had a 3% percentage increment at UCE.
Wow.
But overall, including PLE and PLE, we have 10% increment. This is mainly because I think we never had an examination year in 2021.
Yes.
So we find that some of our learners who were supposed to take examinations in 2021 are
Yes.
now coming to the examinations in 2022. So we have an overwhelming number of candidates who are coming on board.
Yes.
And we want to thank the parents who have been very active and ensuring that they give us the candidates, even the teachers who have been teaching them. We don't take this for granted. And that's why we say it is a joint responsibility, because for us as a board, our mandate is to conduct examinations. So if you don't give us candidates, we don't
Then there are no
conduct
examinations to be
So we are
conducted.
grateful that we have all
Yes.
this number of candidates. We have over, actually we have 1,280,199 candidates in all.
That is
Overall,
really good
it
to
is
hear.
a percentage increment of 10%.
That is really, really good to hear, especially with the scares of COVID-19 and then the economic situation. Many were afraid that probably many would not be able to sit for their final exams. And that leads me to an article that I landed on recently of the Parent Teachers Association that was saying that the schools that hadn't remitted the amounts they were supposed to remit, they were not going to sit for final examination. I don't know whether you got such issues or they ironed them out, or maybe they were just scares they were using against the schools for them to pay up.
Daphne,
Yes.
to that I have to say this. The board knows that schools have to need money.
Yes.
They admit children, those who are the schools which do not have UPE, USE and UPALET require school fees from the children. And the UNEB supports the fact that the parents who have to pay for these children do pay the fees. However, we are aware that some parents up to now have not cleared.
Yes.
Our advice usually is that the schools should engage the parents at this time before the examinations reach the schools.
Yes.
They should call them and they make some agreements or make some kind of arrangements where they can make the payments later on, or
Yes.
they can even do some kind of barter. In this kind of, instead of fees, they give in something they can sell, they can exchange for fees, so that at the end of the day, their children sit examinations.
Yes.
What we request of the schools usually is they should not wait for the day of the examinations and stand at the hall entrance to say, please don't enter here, this one I need fees.
Yes.
It is coming to 9, the children get charged, the school gets charged, and everybody now goes on to a run because the children have not paid. We have requested, and we also want to request the parents who are listening in and watching this this program. It is the responsibility of the parent to pay fees. Once you go to a school where fees are charged, they give you a circular, and you really get to know that I'm supposed to pay this. If the parent has not been able to raise the money, it is their obligation to go to the school and request for some kind of arrangement which can enable them to pay later on.
Yes.
If they have completely failed, it is again their obligation to go and say, I'm not able, but please allow my child, I'll be able to pay at this date.
Yes.
So they should not wait for police to come in and then they go and report the school has refused my children to sit or my child to sit, yet actually the child has been there for 6 years. Yes, it is clear the child has been there for 6 years, but what responsibility has you taken in as a parent to go and talk to the school?
Yes.
So really, the fees issues are there. We cannot stop them because the economic situation cannot enable everybody to
Of course,
really
they also
act the
need it.
same.
Yes.
But there is a responsibility that has to be done by both parties, the school and the parents.
Oh yes,
And
thank you
maybe
so much.
just to add,
Yes.
just to reassure the head teachers, like Madame Rosa said, there's a responsibility, joint responsibility of the parents.
Yes.
Please make sure you clear your school dues. In case you have not done that, Madame Rosa told you what to do. However, for the schools, UNEB wants to assure you that we are going, in case the time of, we ask you to please allow the candidates to sit for their examinations.
Yes.
And then thereafter, by the time of the release of results, just in case the candidate has not been able to clear the school fees, just inform your UNEB, give us their names and their details. We shall withhold the results temporarily until you allow us to release them.
Wow.
We always stand by our word. We will not release the results of the candidates who have not paid their school dues. However, we ask you kindly, let them sit for their examinations, because the moment they miss out the examination, it's entire destiny, their entire lifetime. They will not be able to see the examinations again. So we ask, please allow them. And we're asking the teachers and the parents, please sit, and like Madam Rose has said, do this before the examination. Come and discuss with the schools, come up with an MOU and request the schools to please allow the candidates to all sit their examinations, give UNEB the list of names, and not release the results until it's time until they've cleared all the school dues.
Well, thank you so much. That is a very, very important point. And yes, I think it's what we should be doing as schools. Let them hold the examination, and of course, because these examinations are very, very important in life, the parents shall pay up and definitely come for their results. I think that's the only way we can go, instead of stopping the students from learning and then affecting their future. We're going to return with a lot on this discussion, but remember, you're still watching Issues at Hand. And recently I heard of a comment actually from the executive director of UNEB saying that malpractice is usually because briefing is ignored by some schools. Some schools ignore and then let some students come in, some teachers to do it and others don't do it, and it's causing a lot of malpractice. Before we go into the guidelines or what malpractice is, I want to understand what UNEB is doing about these schools that are being adamant.
Daphne.
Yes.
UNEB's work is to make reminders. First of all, we do the reminders in different ways. As we are here, we are doing it.
Yes.
We are using different channels. For example, the circulars. We have sent circulars to the schools to make sure they do remind themselves to conduct this kind of briefing to the children. We have talked to the people, the area supervisors, who are in charge of different stations where head teachers meet, to make sure this kind of briefing is done to the children. And we have not stopped at that. We have prepared timetables. Like I have a copy here, my dear. This timetable you see here, the viewers, has got guidelines to the children and to the school that are supposed to be followed properly. And I'm very sure if they are followed, we cannot make mistakes.
Yes.
Before I go into the details of the timetable, we have also put our guidelines in a manual. We have a manual that guides the field, the schools, the teachers, and everybody who is participating on what they should do and what they should not do.
Yes.
If these two documents, the manual and the timetable, are used, schools cannot go wrong. So we have tried to tell the people in charge, the area supervisors, to ensure that they check on all schools so that they can to ensure that they have conducted the briefing of the children.
Oh, yes.
My dear, if you look at the timetable, small as it is, as a single sheet, we have tried to compact the basic guidelines that at least the child should not miss, a candidate should not miss. For example, overall, we have shown when the children should turn up. The first turn up is going to be on the date of briefing. Here we are indicating 14th, and we have also put the time, 2 hours at least. The school should spend 2 hours briefing the children. So this is where we expect the head of the school to talk to the children, the teachers, the counselors if they're there, and the parents. The representative can be there. At least 2 hours. The children should listen to these very important people. And what are they going to listen to during those 2 hours? Briefly, I'll tell you that in here on the timetable, we have put directions to the candidates. For example, I will not read everything, but here we prepare the children to ease themselves before they enter, so that they do not keep moving in and out. We have been to schools where this has not been emphasized.
Yes.
So 10 minutes into the examination, our candidate wants to go out. 30 minutes, and you really wonder, were they told? If the candidate is not sick, we don't expect this to happen.
Yes.
We have told them what they should do, what time to report at the examination hall, at least 30 minutes before the examination starts, because they have to be checked. They have to settle in and feel comfortable. They have to raise any discomfort that they have found into the examination room. So that is part of the briefing. They have to be told that checking is part of the business. So they should not resist it. The students who are stubborn, you start checking them, they fight. They don't think it is right. Touching them, if they should not be maybe touched by a foreigner, a stranger.
Yes.
But if they attend briefing, they will be told that this is normal and they should expect it. They will be told who should check who. For example, the female candidates are going to be checked by a female lady.
Yes.
I mean a female teacher, sorry. And the males or the boys are going to be checked by a male invigilator or teachers. They will be told this, and therefore it will not be strange to them. So they will be told not to come with anything that is not prescribed. For example, writing material, anything that contravenes examination rules, they should not come with.
Yes.
So we should not expect a mathematical set which has papers, which has even money. We don't need that money in the exam room, because it might be misused. Examiners have found money in the answer scripts where a candidate has said, please be kind to me. Look at this one. We have been seeing this. So money is also
very solder.
Yes, they put that money there.
Yes.
So all those things are not expected. And there will something to do with instructions on the papers, the rubric, the answer sheets they are going to be given is also mentioned. So Daphne, there's a lot here.
Yes, yes.
Things to do with not going out with papers that have not been used. If they give you 2 answer booklets, for example, you are told not to, if you have used one, you'll be told not to go away with the other because you haven't used it.
Yes.
But even when you use it and you feel it is not part of the answers you want to submit, you are not allowed to go out with it.
Yes.
You are told to cancel out that work, but also hand it into the invigilators, because it can be misused by another person, or somebody can allege when actually you do not have intentions whatsoever that close to malpractice. Issues like mobile phones, Daphne. At least I've known that most parents have given children mobile phones, and they feel they are supposed to be close to their bodies. Viewers, mobile phones are not close to an examination room. These phones are not even taken by the invigilators and chief invigilators that go and work with children. So the candidates must be aware. If they have these gadgets, they should know where to drop them. The schools must know that they have a responsibility of keeping the children's gadgets in their offices, such that the children are not tempted to come with them, because they are very dangerous to examinations. And of course, calculators that are not prescribed for use in examinations. All the things are going to be talked about during the briefing meetings.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. For you that must be wondering, really, what usually goes ahead there, you understand, you need to know what to do, even as a student, even as a parent, so that you can hold back the phone, even as an invigilator. That is why it's important that we have briefing in these schools. It's all a joint responsibility. You as a parent, you are concerned, as a student, you are concerned, even as the school conducting the examinations, you are concerned. That is why it is important for you to sit with us throughout this conversation. So we are going to get a few more pertinent guidelines from Mrs. Janefer Kalule before we get into malpractice. Any other guideline you think is very important we don't want to miss out on?
Okay, thank you so much, Daphne.
Yes.
It is very important. Madam Rose talked about arrival at the school, arrival at the examination center. Should arrive 30 minutes before examinations begin.
30.
In any case, not later than 15 minutes. So if examinations begin at 9 o'clock, we don't expect you to be there more than 15 minutes after 9 o'clock. So parents who have to take day schooling candidates, please make sure you start your journey early enough. Lots of traffic jam wherever, if it's around Kampala, make sure you are in time. The candidate has to be at the school, not even at the school, at the examination center, examination room, the designated area for examinations, 30 minutes before examination begins. But in case you are delayed, don't make it 15 minutes after, because thereafter you can be thought to have been indulging in malpractice of some sort. So you have to make sure you are at the examination center. Then we want to caution our candidates. Being a candidate does not mean you are over and above the law. You still have to abide with the school rules and regulations. So we want to caution candidates against indiscipline. Please don't get involved in indiscipline, abusing head teachers, abusing teachers, invigilators, being harsh, fighting, being violent, all forms of malpractice. And now we even have children who are getting involved in drugs. Please, all forms of indiscipline. We want to caution our candidates and want to ask the parents, please talk to the learners to be disciplined. They have just a few, you don't want to waste your lifetime just at this point in time. Because in case you're involved in discipline, the school can choose to suspend you, and then you have to come and do examinations under the surveillance of police. It is the worst. It's going to torment you. It's going to distract your capacity. So I want to ask the candidates to please be disciplined. Short of that, you do examinations under police surveillance. Fine, you are supposed to examination because you are registered, but please make sure that you create a conducive environment for both the head teachers, the teachers, and for yourself.
Well, when you speak about indiscipline, I am reminded of a school recently that has suspended all its candidates, senior 4 candidates. Nyakasura school, you know of it? Yes, for indiscipline, they beat up a guard over a phone. They sneaked in a phone, and then the guard takes it from them. They decide to gang up and beat the security guard. Have they resolved that issue?
That is
Let me just caution now the candidates and it. UNEB does not get involved in the administrative arrangements of the schools, and UNEB does not condone indiscipline. So if you're a candidate, we are cautioning you, please be disciplined. You won't come to UNEB and say, because I'm registered, they've chased me away. We will not listen to that. You have to go by the rules and regulations of the school. So we caution the learners to please be disciplined. Parents, talk to our candidates, and then the teachers and also the schools also. Be parental also, listen to them, Let's try and let it be a middle ground, Try and keep them disciplined. Let's put an environment which is going to be conducive for our learners to pass at the same time. So I think that's a joint responsibility. The parents, the teachers, the learners, let's work together to make sure we create a conducive environment for our candidates to see the examinations.
I landed on an article recently that spoke of last year's examination board having reported 3,612 cases of examination malpractice, and the majority was in primary leaving examinations, which is really absurd. That was about 2,220, and then we had 1,292 having showed up in the UCE examinations. So I am wondering, really, what constitutes malpractice? When someone hears the word, it's ambiguous. They may not even understand what it means. Sometimes somebody, like you said, it could be even ignorance. Someone may involve themselves in malpractice out of ignorance. So I want us to understand, what is malpractice?
Yeah, thank you, Daphne. I will start and my sister will add in. But I want to acknowledge the fact that malpractice is a big cancer. This is when, it is, I think, eating up our society, as you have given us the figures, year in, year out. Sometimes we experience a drop, but other times it is high. But this is unlawful engagement, or this is when a candidate or any other person dealing with the candidates decides to access examination material before the owners or the lawful candidates access this material. Malpractice, if I may define it, it can occur at three different stages. It can occur before the examination is done. It can occur during the examination, and it can also occur after the examination. So briefly, before the examination, now that we have the children registered, you may find that somebody registered a candidate who, or somebody who is not the authorized the candidate to sit for a candidate who was
impersonation.
Yes, that is impersonation.
Yes.
So you find that somebody is sitting when actually he's not the bona fide candidate of the school. At his UCE, for example, people can pick A-levels or university students to sit for the candidates, and that will be impersonation. So that is before you see somebody planned way back in June, before June, because we just started before June. So
when we talk about that, and they're like IDs with their photos that could be matched up, or it's very easy to manipulate the examination cards that they can switch the photos.
We have the photos, but in instances where the invigilators are not keen, such people can just pass. But otherwise, we have the photos. It would be very easy for you to say, you're not so and so. Your ID does not say you are so and so. But it would be very difficult for somebody who does not, of course, know this candidate before. It may be very difficult.
Definitely.
So I use a name which is not mine, and I register as you, Daphne, when I'm not Daphne. So Daphne benefits when actually she's not the one who sat the papers. That one is a tricky one, very tricky if it happens. So we have other forms of malpractice, for example, smuggling. Daphne, this one is really disturbing us so much. Candidates entering with material that they had prior to the examination date. Yes, this can happen if they buy papers, fake or rightful papers, if I may say, because we have had interruptions of our papers when they are leaving the registrations to the schools. If that happens, this child will write answers because they have seen the paper before, and they enter with that paper into the examination room. That would be malpractice. It is dangerous, and we are still struggling with that. That's why we deploy so many vigilators, so many supervisors to ensure that they can obstruct this kind of behavior before it enters the room, or even when the papers enter, they can obstruct the children from using them to their benefit.
When you talk about invigilators, I am thinking that they can also have wrong personalities in there. True. Is there a strict criteria in how you choose your invigilators?
Yeah, true, definitely. We can have wrong ones once in a while. But the criteria is when we go for teachers who are registered, in that when they misbehave, we can be able to follow them to the mother ministry and even have an effect on their registration documents, their professional documents. So otherwise, we go for professional people, professional teachers.
Yes.
In that when they misbehave, there's a big penalty for them. Yeah. So otherwise, back to the topic, we have issues of collusion where candidates can connive to be working out answers together. I give you number 5, you give me number 10, or something like that, so that the answers are almost the same or exactly the same. And if this happens, of course, it is also dangerous for the children. There's copying. I may not know anything about a particular subject, and I just get what you have written and I write it in my papers. So that may not be collusion, but it endangers you and me as well.
Yes.
We have issues of leakage, and of course leakage will happen. That is before the papers reach the children, and maybe some people use them to calculate answers for the children. But definitely what I want to say in all these or the forms of malpractice is that the UNEB Act is now very, very strict in as far as malpractice is concerned. This act has come up with different penalties that face the people who engage in malpractice.
Yes.
When you look at our act, and you look at it is not Article 25, it is
yes, Madam
Section 25.
Yes.
It talks about what can happen in case a candidate gets an authorized material into the examination room.
Yes.
Or just finding you with material that is similar to examinations, and you are maybe selling it, you are using it to coach the children. Anybody who is found with such materials, and these are common before examinations begin, especially this week and maybe coming next week, it is always very sensitive to our children. We want to warn them that these days the penalties are very, very high. Because here, if somebody is found with such material, here the Act talks about a penalty of 1,000 currency points or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 5 years or both.
Wow.
So a currency point is 20,000 shillings. So times this 1,000 is a lot of money.
Yes.
The viewers can calculate. It is no
20
longer
million.
cheap.
20 million.
It's 20 million.
Wow.
It is no longer cheap to engage in malpractice because the cost is high. So these other issues, there are other issues that the Act is talking about. For example, if a candidate misuses papers, you're given an examination paper, you plaque off a page, maybe to send the answers to somebody or any other way, and you hand in that paper when some pages are missing. This is also a malpractice, and it is punishable. There is money to be paid. For example, here we are again talking about 1,000 currency points, just like the first offense. If a candidate damages a question paper or an answer booklet, or does anything to defame that this paper, it is also punishable, and children are not aware. We want the teachers, the head teachers, during the briefing meeting, to inform our children that it is these papers that they are given to write their answers.
Yes.
Stop being theirs when they are writing answers. After that, they become UNEB property, and therefore they are supposed to handle them properly. They're not supposed to mutilate them. They're not supposed to write, maybe to just draw pictures and hand in, because sending in messages that are not answers to questions that they were given.
Set your own question.
So these are wrong things that can really affect them during the conduct of examination.
Well, Mrs. Kalule, can you take us
very
on?
briefly, what I want to caution the public here is about the use of social media. The Act also talks about such people who assist candidates to obtain whether it's correct information or not regarding examinations. So anyone who assists or causes any candidate to obtain or gain unauthorized possession of an examination paper, examination material, or any material and information that may or may not be part of the examination is also liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 2,000 currency points. A currency point is 20,000, so that means 14 million, or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 10 years. What this basically means, you get an allegedly mathematics paper on your phone and you forward it to Daphne, Janefer, Daphne, Rose, everybody who is forwarding this paper, whether it is correct or not, you are liable for it. That is
on social media. How are you tracking them?
We are working with the Communications Commission, so we want to caution. This Act is very so kindly do not forward any unauthorized material. Kasasi, there's not going to be any kasasi. I am telling you, there's no kasasi. What we call leakage, which is prior knowledge of the examination, is the worst form of malpractice, and UNEB will do anything to guard against this. Nobody is going to touch Mr. Odongo's eye. I can assure you. So let nobody deceive that they have kasasi. Nobody is going to have kasasi. But even if it's the wrong information, you will be convicted. So please desist from doing that. And I want to inform you, we have an option for whistleblowers. In case you think anybody is doing anything that we need to know about. We have a toll-free line where whistleblowers can send their information. You will be protected. The number is 0800 211 077. That's 0800 211 077. Any whistleblower can send us information and we shall receive it, and you'll be protected under the Whistleblowers Act. We also have the customer care lines where you can still send your message and alert us somebody is sharing this information, or XYZ, I think so and so is aiding malpractice. You can send us a message on 0776 865 556 and 0760 731 261 or 0776 993 335.
Well, I would like to thank you so much, Mrs. Janefer Kalule and Mrs. Rose Nabukenya, for taking out your time to come here and educate us. You've heard it, you know, this year's examination cycle is scheduled to start on the 14th of October 2022 with the UCE briefing candidates, and of course we have the primary level coming in November the 7th, 2022, and UACE is going to happen November 18th, 2022. Parents, be there. Students, be there. Teachers, please do what you are supposed to do. It was Issues at Hand. Daphne, Karungi, Kangove. There is a lot coming up here on Family TV you don't want to miss out on. Stay with us.